Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. Today we discuss the 10 best cities to retire in the US and how to craft the perfect retirement lifestyle. When it comes to retirement, there are so many things that we have to think about that we don't often talk about the fun stuff. The fun stuff has to do with what we're going to do now that we have all of our time back. You have the money set aside, you've achieved the financial freedom, and you get to decide what you want to do each day. Now, this throws some of us off a little bit where we're really not sure what to do with our time. We either spend our time working and making things happen, we spend our time paying bills, we spend our time raising our kids, and now that we have our own time, we get to decide what we want to do. It really is like, all right, I'm not sure what I would do for fun. I do what needs to be done. I've been doing what had to be done. So, what do I do when I can do whatever I want? That nothing like technically has to be done. Now, if you're someone that feels you'd be interested in a little bit of the cold weather, or maybe it snows a little bit, Salt Lake City, Utah is number 10 on the list. It says that there's lots to do aside from the Utah Jazz basketball team. You can visit the Utah Museum of Fine Arts. And if that doesn't tickle your fancy, there's 5 national parks within driving distance and several renowned ski resorts. So you really have a good variety of activities that you could do in Utah. Now, of course, that's not it. So you want to know what the cost of living is. Well, the median home in Salt Lake City is about $540,000, which is much higher than the national average. The average rent there, though, is about $1,600 a month, and that will get you about an 823 square foot unit. Now, as far as income tax and Social Security, that's a yes for Utah. Now, as far as crime, violent crime is below the national average, but property crime is above the national average. When it comes to healthcare, Salt Lake City has 8 Medicare certified hospitals and 23.3 physicians per 10,000 residents. Both are above the national average. So when it comes to Salt Lake City, Utah, you have the place that you can go if you like it a little bit colder. Some of you are going to say, well, Dre, I'm not interested in that. And that's fine. I have the warm places. We got Florida on here. Don't worry, Florida's representing. But if you have those other features that you're looking at as well, we don't want to just be looking at, all right, Dre, where's the 10 most affordable cities I can retire at? And we'll do videos on that and we'll talk about that. But sometimes it's nice just to see what the options are out there for us. Number 9 on the list is Tampa, Florida. Yeah. Number 9 on our list is Tampa, Florida. So it's a beautiful place. Welcome to Florida. Have lots of fun. There's lots of great things going on. It's considered a very active post life retirement. There are tons of sporting teams. If you like events, you got the football and the hockey, you got baseball. Everything is out there. You also have buzzing river walks, one of the best airports if you think you'll be traveling a lot, where you can get from point A to point B, and you may not have to have one of those labor flights. You may just be able to get directly to where you want to go. And of course, now that you're in Florida, you have the beach life for you. And for all my foodies, Tampa is actually well known for its restaurants. So you have a couple that come to mind, like Rooster and the Till and La Segunda. Both are standouts, but there are a lot of great food options available in Tampa. And so if that is something that is attractive to you, then maybe going to Tampa would fit within your lifestyle. Now, as far as the numbers, the population is about 380,000. The average age is about 36 years old. So the median house in Tampa is $390,000, which is higher than the national average, but it is much lower than being out in Salt Lake City. But the rent is a little bit higher at $1,920 a month, and that'll get you about a 925 square foot unit. Now, the good thing is Florida does not have income tax on Social Security, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a pretty amazing place as far as the weather, and it's about an average of 52 degrees in the winter. But it does get pretty hot in the summer. I'm not going to lie to you. And Tampa has 5 Medicare certified hospitals and 24.3 physicians per 10,000 residents, which is also above the national average. Now, before we move on in the list, it's also important when you're crafting your retirement lifestyle, keep in mind that you do need to be active. I'm not sure exactly what you need to do or what you want to do, but you do want to do something. Please don't just sit in the house. Maintain those relationships with the people that you have, with you work with, maintain the connections with your family. Social connection is super important for us. There is this amazing 70-year study Harvard did on happiness, and the number one driver of happiness was relationships, who you were surrounded by, even if you didn't like them all the time. Just the fact that you felt like you had a good relationship, someone that you could talk to, even if that means you're arguing, that the number one driver of happiness was the relationships. So when you retire, you cannot become a hermit. You need to make sure that you stay engaged, stay active, find events and things that you can go to with people that you care about and love. Stay physically active, embrace lifelong learning, pick up meditation. These are all scientifically proven things when it comes to people who have the best lifestyle that they enjoy every single day the most, whether you're retired or not. But especially when you're in retirement, you want to make sure that you maintain these attributes. Number 8 on our list is Wilmington, Delaware. So it's a ton of waterfront areas that's lovely in the summer. They got great food year round. In fact, the food is one of the reasons that Wilmington was chosen as one of the best places to visit in 2023. Some of those award-winning restaurants are Bodega Stay, Le Cavalier, and the Chancery Market. These are all places that have high reviews and people rave about the food that they get to try there. The average age in Wilmington is about 36, about the same as in Tampa. The median cost of a house in Wilmington is $295,000, which is lower than the national average. And the average cost of rent is $1,506 a month. That'll get you about an 870 square foot unit. Now, you will be taxed on your Social Security. It is a little bit colder there, so the winter has an average temperature of about 24 degrees, but your highs are 85 in the summer, so that's still kind of nice. Now, when it comes to crime, both violent and property crime rates are higher than the national average in Wilmington, and they have two Medicare certified hospitals and 23.8 physicians per 10,000 residents, which is above the national average. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag where your cost of living as far as housing is lower, but at the same time, crime is above the national average, but the Medicare certified hospital and physician coverage is above the national average. So it really comes down to you, your specific retirement lifestyle, what's most important to you. Number 7 on our list is Scottsdale, Arizona. So it gets its high marks for the activities and the quality of life. In fact, it's ranked number 4 in the United States as far as quality of life. They say Scottsdale is easily one of the best places to retire in the US. And if you love golfing, it's famous for its golf. So, of course, you would go out there if you're interested in golfing. But it also has really nice spas, incredible art and architecture. It has award-winning restaurants as well. The food matters. If you haven't noticed, I'm always looking at the food. Is the food good there? Do we have the restaurants that I can go to? But because you're in Arizona and because it's the desert, it does get really hot out there. So you want to keep that in mind as far as living through the summers. But unlike Florida, you don't have as much humidity when you're dealing with the desert heat. So it actually is kind of cool at night versus Florida, where it's just kind of hot all the time. So you got that going for you. Now, the average age in Scottsdale, Arizona is much higher. So we're at 48 years old as the average age. And you'll notice so far we've been around 32 to 35. So it's a significantly older population. And that probably is aligned with the fact that it is one of those retirement spots that people enjoy going to. It has lots of activities, great food. If you love golfing and the arts, it has all of that for you. So a lot of people do like going out there. Now, Scottsdale is not on the list because it's cost of living friendly. So the median home cost in Scottsdale is about $776,000, which is significantly higher than the national average. And your average rent will be about $2,059 a month. And that'll get you about a 950 square foot unit. So as you can see, this is on the upper end as far as the cost of living, a place that we talked about so far. We used to have Salt Lake City, Utah in the number 1 spot, but this is a couple $100,000 even over Salt Lake City, Utah. So this is something that you want to think about when it comes to deciding, can I afford to retire there? Maybe you don't have to live there, but you can visit. You know, there's great golf and art there, so you can visit for a week or two. You can enjoy yourself, have a great time, and then just go back home when you're done. We don't have to move to these places, but we are going to go over the list of the top places to move to. And even though it has a higher cost of living, it still provides such a great benefit for retirees that it was able to make it on the list. So again, because it's a desert, it's a very nice, warm and sunny place. About 330 of the 365 days in the year, it's going to be sunny. And then when you're in the winter, about 36 degrees is what the average winter is, but your highs will be at 106 degrees. So again, the summer gets pretty high, so you want to keep that in mind. As far as crime, both violent and property crime rates are lower than the national average. And when it comes to healthcare, there are 4 Medicare certified hospitals and about 20.1 physicians for every 100,000 residents, which also is below the national average. Now, not to be outdone with the cost of living, but lots of amazing things to do. Number 6 on our list is San Francisco, California. Needless to say, San Francisco is not on this list because of affordability, right? We know that it's going to be one of the more expensive cost of living places that you can be at. But what it lacks in cheap rental, it makes up for in activities. You can spend the entire day strolling through the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, or you can crisscross through the city on one of those classic cable cars. If you're someone that likes it a little bit quieter, California has some of the most beautiful natural sites as well, like the Muir Woods National Monument and Point Reyes, are just a quick drive away. So there's lots of amazing places that you can go. So what I know you're all looking for is like, all right, Dre, what's the cost of living in California? And I got you. But let's first talk about the median age. So the median age is 38.3. Also not very surprising, as things are more expensive than you would expect people to be a little bit older. You're not going to move to San Francisco to start your career. It's just not going to be as affordable. Now, when it comes to the median home cost in San Francisco, that's about 1.269, yes, $1.3 million, which I know is a surprise. It is significantly, overwhelmingly, staggeringly higher than the national average, and things aren't any better for the renters. Rent on average is $3,336 for a 736 square foot unit. Yes, you heard it right. Over $3,000 a month in rent for less than 800 square feet of a living space. That is San Francisco in a nutshell. But if you are interested in living out there or just visiting, because I do feel like this list can double as just places to visit, they do have 12 Medicare certified hospitals and 44 physicians for every 10,000, significantly higher than the national average. So as far as healthcare, you're looking good. Both violent and property crime rates are higher than the national average, and that's often going to be when you have those highly populated places. There are 260 sunny days per year and about an average temperature of about 47 degrees in the winter, and the average highs is 71 degrees in the summer. So you see the weather's pretty nice. It's kind of nice and even. We're not in the 90s or 100s, and we're not freezing our butts off in the 20s either. It's a nice little middle average, a pretty consistent temperature if you ask me. And a lot of retirees do enjoy the activities that are in San Francisco, just like they enjoy the activities that's in Scottsdale. But it's important to make sure that when you guys are crafting a retirement lifestyle, you want to be realistic. We got to set realistic expectations. Once you know how much something costs, you look back at how much money you have, how much you can expect in monthly income. You can double check how much you expect to get in Social Security. And then you can say, all right, realistically, I can afford to live there. Realistically, I can't. You do want to be realistic in your expectations for your goal. There are so many amazing places. There's so many great things that you can do. In worst case scenario, as I already mentioned, you can visit the places. You don't have to live there. So you can still have a wonderful retirement lifestyle where you're doing all these amazing things, but you do need to have that balance. You don't want to just go for gold, knowing that it's going to deplete your retirement account, knowing that the cost of living in the state that you're currently in is significantly different than the state you're moving to. If it's much more expensive than the state you're moving to, then that means you probably would have either had to start investing much earlier, or you probably have gotten rid of all your debt. We have to have some plan in place. And of course, if you're not 100% sure, you can always look up a retirement calculator. But if that doesn't work for you, naturally, seeking professional advice is always an option. You want to make sure that you have the best retirement experience that you possibly can. Why not leverage the wisdom of someone else who does it all the time? So now we're in the top 5 places to retire, and we're going to go back to good old Florida. If you want to come hang out with me, you sure can. Now, Fort Lauderdale, you do have the beach life. You can enjoy that, but there are a ton of beautiful waterfront condos, and a lot of them have these amenities where it's almost like you're living in a private resort. There's just so many things that you could do in the condo, inside of the community, that it's a great experience. Now, if you don't want to be stuck inside of your condo all day, there are beautiful art places you can tour on Flagler Village. You can take cooking classes, you can sample the restaurants. In South Florida, you'll find that the restaurants kind of come and go. Now, whether or not it's the same owner, they just kind of changed the theme of it, I can't really tell you that. But I will tell you the restaurant industry in South Florida does have a pretty high turnover. So you're going to get to try a large variety of amazing food. And if you do want to travel and take your trips, you have cruises that you can take from down there. You have international airports if you want to travel and go to these other places. It's a pretty nice variety of things that you can do living in Fort Lauderdale. So the median home cost in Fort Lauderdale is $521,000, which is above the national average. And the rent is about $2,700 a month. That'll get you close to 1,000 square foot unit. Now, again, you're back in Florida, so that means you have no income tax on Social Security. And then, of course, it's a wonderfully warm place. So you have the sunny beaches and the great life. Both violent and property crimes are higher than the national average. And then Fort Lauderdale has 3 Medicare certified hospitals, 22.4 physicians per 10,000 residents, which is also above the national average. Number 4 on our list, and we're not going much further, just a little bit south, is Miami, Florida. So when a lot of people see pictures of Florida on postcards and different things, it's normally going to be pictures of like Miami. When you really think of South Beach and kind of the nightlife and the fancy clothes and the culture and the variety of things, you're going to be looking at Miami if you want to do that. Now, they also have great golf courses there, and because of the melting pot of cultures, you could try so many amazing foods and museums and the art. There is just such a variety of different cultures down there. There's a couple Cuban restaurants that are really good down there. And Miami-Dade also offers what they call an active older adults program that provides free fitness classes and leisure activities for people age 55 and older, where you can build that network of people that you want to talk to. Maybe you moved and all your friends, the people you work with, they either didn't retire or they're in a different state. Well, if you come to these communities and you have these things in common, maybe you can start building your new friendships in your retirement. And then maybe you guys can start taking these trips together, try these restaurants together, enjoy yourself. So Miami has a little bit older of a population as far as the list that we've been looking at. The median age is 40 years old. Their housing is also a little bit above the national average. So in Miami, you're going to expect to pay about $550,000. Your rent is also going to be slightly above the national average. That's about $2,400 a month, and that'll get you about a 900 square foot unit. Again, we're in Florida, so you don't have the income tax on Social Security. And again, you know the temperature. We have winters about 60 degrees and it's about 90 degrees on average in the summer. And then both violent and property crime rates are lower than the national average in Miami. And as far as healthcare is concerned, Miami understands it has a little bit older of a population. People are retiring down in Miami. So Miami has 9 Medicare certified hospitals and about 23 physicians per every 10,000 residents. Both are above the national average. So Miami has a lot of beautiful things going for it. We haven't even mentioned all the sports teams. If you want to see professional baseball, professional basketball, if whatever sports you're kind of looking at seeing, there's a lot of great things going on down there. There's also when people do tours, they often will go to Miami, Tampa. They go to the large cities when they come to Florida. So you'll be able to see a lot of concerts if you like doing things like that. Number 3 on our list is Cincinnati, Ohio. So it may not be the first place that comes to your mind when it comes to settling down, but it's made its way on the list because of its retirement friendly activities. It has a ton of activities that you can do to fill your days up. Even if you're not the biggest Bengals or the Reds fans, you still have plenty of museums, botanical gardens, you have parks to keep you busy and happy. The average age is 32. The median home cost is on the lower end is $240,000. So you have a better cost of living here. You also have a ton of activities. And then the average rent is $1,300 and they get you about a 900 square foot unit as well. You will be taxed though on Social Security. It does get cold, so you will have some snow if you've ever watched sporting events and seen it. So on the low end, it's 22 degrees in the winter, and then it's about 87 degrees in the summer. So you have a nice mix of season where you could be warm and comfortable in the summer, but you also get to play in the snow in the winter. So that's kind of nice. Cincinnati is also below the national average for violent and property crimes, and then it has 13 Medicare certified hospitals and 37 physicians per 100,000. So you can see that the healthcare coverage is really nice as well. And you can see how Cincinnati made the list. It has tons of activities that you can do, has pretty nice weather, good healthcare, and an affordable cost of living that may suit you well for your retirement needs. Number 2 on our list is Orlando, Florida. So if you're someone that wants to go to theme parks, shout out to Orlando. Have a great time. You go to Mickey Mouse, Universal Studios, SeaWorld. You can work your way over to Tampa and go to Busch Gardens. There's tons of aquariums and different shows. There's just so much that you can do. And a nice bonus of living in Orlando near all these theme parks is it makes it a little bit easier for you to convince your grandkids to come visit. They're going to have a great time at these theme parks with you. Also, because it's Orlando, it's a great airport. You can travel all over the place you want to go. You can take the cruises that you want. There's just so much that you could do in Orlando because it is an international place. People travel from all over the place. Now, for someone that's like, all right, Dre, I can appreciate all the theme parks, my grandkids coming to visit, and all the tourism. So there's so many options and so much people that are vying for my attention where I could do anything I want almost. But what about just being nice and quiet and just kind of chilling for a little bit? Well, you do have that. There are a ton of quiet communities in Orlando. Of course, the great restaurants and the stores, those are always going to be there because of the tourism. Now, when it comes to the cost, about $372,000, which is slightly lower than the national average. That's the median home cost. And the rent will be about $1,940 a month. That gets you about 950 square foot unit. And the average age is about 34 years old. You also have both violent and property crimes below the national average. 6 Medicare certified hospitals, about 20 physicians for every 10,000, which is below the national average as far as healthcare is concerned. You'll notice that I'm always telling you guys about the healthcare, the doctors, the Medicare certified, because we do have to plan for your healthcare. As far as your retirement lifestyle is concerned, you guys know because we talk about it all the time. 70% of people who are 65 and older are going to have at least one long-term care episode in their retirement. So for many of us, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, it's a question of how long, it's a question of if we're prepared. So I'm always going to talk to you guys about healthcare, and you want to make sure that you consider healthcare in your retirement plan because it could be a retirement plan killer, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to get the coverage that you need. I don't want you sitting at home saying, well, I can't afford to go to the doctor. I want you to be able to get the coverage that you need. I want you to be able to still enjoy your time and travel and do all these amazing things. I don't want you to be counting the pennies. I want you to be comfortable knowing that you created the perfect retirement lifestyle and you don't have to worry about money. That's the last thing, the furthest thing from your mind. In fact, we figured it out so well that we've actually solved generational wealth through your strategic retirement plan to where you really don't have to worry about it. You know that you're in a fantastic spot. Now, last but not least, number 1 on our list is Charleston, South Carolina. I know you probably thought it was going to be another place in Florida, and honestly, I did too, because we have the great weather, we have the great tax structure, we have a lot of activities. We have a pretty good retirement network as far as people of a certain age, also them being catered to, because a lot of people know that people are coming to retire in Florida. So I might as well get in where I fit in. But Charleston, South Carolina takes the number 1 spot. It offers a relaxed coastal vibe, southern hospitality, and so many activities that you'll be busy for a long time. So it's a no-brainer when it comes to retirement destinations. Everywhere you look, the city has gorgeous mansions, cobblestone streets to explore, just the beautiful culture and the vibe. And of course, the food is amazing. I'm not going to mention anywhere that doesn't have good food. I hope you're a foodie like me where you appreciate having a good meal And as far as what Charleston has to offer, the cost of living is actually lower than a lot of the other large cities, even though it's above the national average. So the median home in Charleston is $520,000. So that puts it pretty comparable to Salt Lake City, Utah. And that is higher than the national average. And then the rent is about $1,989 a month, and that gets you about 1,000 square foot unit. You do pay income taxes on your Social Security. The high of the temperature in the summer is about 91. The average in the winter is about 38. So it is about the same as Florida, but both violent and property crime rates are higher than the national average in Charleston. Charleston also has 5 Medicare certified hospitals with 47.8 physicians per 10,000 residents, which is nicely above the national average. So as far as healthcare, you're crushing it. Now, as far as some of the activities people like doing in Charleston, you can get in one of those historic horse and carriages, and they'll take you on a tour around the city. They also have Harbor History Day, sunset boat cruises, Fort Sumner. You can visit there in a round trip. You can take sightseeing, walking tours. There's so much that you can do. It's actually pretty nice. It's a pretty historical place. A lot of people like it. Now, if you're someone that feels like you don't want to be walking, you don't want to be on a horse, they do offer bus tours, so you have that option as well. They also have food tours, so you can try all the amazing cuisine, and then you can go back to the restaurants that you like the most. So it's a really nice setup for you as far as finding things to do with your time during retirement. So as you can see, when it comes to crafting your perfect retirement lifestyle, finding the best city for you to retire, there's so many things that you want to consider, but you do need to make sure you start with your goals. What does your perfect retirement look like? How would you spend your time if money wasn't a consideration? And then we can see what amount of money we need to be able to afford that lifestyle and what is realistic. But we always start with, what is my dream retirement? What am I working towards? Can we put a plan to help me achieve that goal? Am I able to increase the amount of money that I'm putting aside for retirement? Do I work an extra year? Could I visit the places? There's just so many ways that you can be creative with your retirement plan that you don't want to automatically say no. You want to give yourself the space to dream a little bit. See if you can come up with a way that works and you can check off all the boxes. If you found value in this video, I simply ask that you like and subscribe so you can continue receiving valuable information on how to solve generational wealth through strategic retirement planning. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy life.